Hello everybody, it's been a while since I made a video last time. I think it's almost like 2 weeks now. Been doing very lazy things and there's a lot of also a lot of self-exploration that's happening within me. There are so many different things of my recovery that I wanted to share but today I would like to talk about something a little bit heavy. It's about my relationship with methamphetamine, the drug that caused my paralysis while I was meeting people for sex. It's a horrendous, freaky story that had been viewed for like 22,000 times on YouTube. To me, this was just like a mind blowing that so many people have listened to my story, and a lot of people who listened to it also had really kind and understanding and loving comments, and I really highly appreciate that. But I hope that by sharing what happened, people don't just focus on what happened to me, but also I wanted to shed light on how I climb out of that ditch, how I became more and more functional and more capable, and even to the point that like I would end up having a much better relationship with myself after the injury, after this horrendous accident. So I hope that my videos are more leaning towards that way instead of being, a victim of a freaky accident. With that goal, I would like to first share this topic that I wanted to do, which is my relationship with methamphetamine. I have been, being in touch with methamphetamine for a very long time. I think the first time I used it was when, in my university years, it was maybe 2003, 4, 5, like that kind of like range. So it's almost like 20 years. Yeah, potentially like reaching to a 20-year mark. Maybe like next year or the year after. Anyway, that's not important. It's just that, although I'm not a frequent abuser, someone who uses it on a weekly basis or like daily basis or multiple times a day, I do this occasionally, and I would still call myself a meth abuser, because this is this is what happens. And then even with my infrequent uses, there was still so much shame and so much secrecy in this activity and this part of my life that I could never let my friends and or family or anybody I care about to know this. It's a very isolating experience, and it's also very shameful experience. And the life of a meth abuser is always like that. Some people may not admit that they are shameful of this behavior, but just look at how they just look at whether they wanted to share this part of their life with other people. Like, oh, I just had a coffee. No, I just partied with meth for 2 days. Can you say that out loud, like just like you just had a coffee? If you cannot, to everybody that you meet, then that means there has to be some sort of shame and underlying um, uh, uh, underlying parts of you that is not that you do not accept in this drug use aspect. I guess this is generally what I think a drug user's mentality is, that there is so much shame. But obviously, as time goes by, as I started to understand the real reason behind my urges and my drug abuse, I start to realize that something else actually was happening. And then, so this is the video that I want to discuss this. So going back to the relationship aspect with meth. Initially I started using meth because, like when you're in your early 20s, however you look, however gorgeous or whatever that you look, like none of your body parts look right. There's always something that's bugging you, like this doesn't look right, that doesn't look right, like just everything and anything. At least that's to me. Like I was very uncomfortable with my body and with my body image, and also my there's a lot of self-doubt and body image issues. To give you an example, like in my all my life, actually, even until now, I was never able to see my six packs. Like no matter how skinny I try to make myself, like I cannot see my six packs. It's just like never really happened. I know that it exists, but like it's never there. So in my early 20s, whenever I was trying to have sex with someone, what's been really playing in my head was like, is my like tummy roll too much for that guy, or like is this like not sexy enough? Like I know that I don't have six packs, I have to like suck in and just to make sure that like it doesn't look like a Michelin tire or something around my waist. And there's always this like self-doubt within me, and especially when I try to like have sex with people, and that is so debilitating. But guess what? Meth actually helps. It helps by shutting down all those parts of your brain that is doubtful about who you are, who I was, and also many other sensory sort of like or sensory or like normal functions of your body. So things like thirst, hunger, you know temperature, and those kind of like basic human feelings, like you don't really feel much when I was on meth, and all the attention and energy is directed towards just one thing, and that is to have sex. And the drive and the determination while I was on meth was so addictive, because I could finally shut down that part of my body, my brain, that was doubtful, that was shameful, that was like very much wanting to find acceptance. And so for that purpose alone, meth was a fantastic cure for my self-doubt and for my body image issues, and I was liberated from those issues because of that. So those were like the early years of my meth use. I'm just checking my notes and see if I missed anything. Okay, so after a while, like in my late 30s, I started realizing that about this body image issue and self-doubt and all those kind of things. And then slowly I did try to overcome those things, and just try to like set that mentality aside and just try to enjoy myself. And I did achieve somewhat of a success, I guess. That's because for a very long time I didn't really crave for meth to begin with. And but once again, it only takes one time to get you so damaged that you cannot you have to take like a year or two to recover. So that's my early 20s. And as I get older, I moved from Vancouver to China to work, and then I was working for my family. It was family business, and I was living with family, so it was day in and out. It was just all about family. And at the time, I think I moved back for almost 10 years in China. And through all this time, I rarely made any friends. Like I always had problem making friends with people, making connection with people. But like when I was back in China, I felt like I was such a big misfit. I was a little bit Chinese, a little bit Western, and then this like mixed bag of like things is very different comparing to a lot of the local people, and it just doesn't fit with a lot of people to begin with. And also I was very shy, I was very doubtful, that kind of like self-doubt and body image issues carries out through my personality, and it affects me in every single aspect of my life. It's just not just when I'm having sex, also when I'm like meeting people, when I'm talking to, trying to make a connection with someone, you know, like it's always there that like I'm nothing, that I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, and whatever, those kind of like situations. So I never made friends. I actually, no, that's not true. I made two friends in China. One is in my hometown, the other one is in Hong Kong, and that's it. For the 10 years that I was living in China, I only made two friends, and the rest of the time I was spending with my family. And you know, now looking back at my drug use history, especially with methamphetamine, it was that the majority amount of trigger that I had was mostly when I was traveling. I was traveling to Hong Kong, to New York, to Vancouver, to all different parts of the world. And when I'm traveling, especially when I'm on my own traveling, and after I finish all my errands, finish all the things that I needed to do, and then I'm just sitting in the hotel room, I'm just like, ugh, fuck, like I need to, you know, like, I'm craving for drugs, I'm craving for like meth, I'm craving for this thing to happen. And a lot of the times, like, they do happen because I cave in, because I feel like there was such a huge urge that I cannot stop myself. And so I always have this sort of like episodes of like, you know, getting high, and then you know, getting high for like a day or two, and then getting back on track again, or like after coming back from a trip, I'm just like recovering, and doing all those kind of like detoxing and all that. So that was also a pattern, and this pattern sort of followed me when I moved to New York, and especially in the beginning of like especially in after the August of 2020. New York was still trying to open up after a shutdown, and then things are like very pandemic mode, and then hard to meet people, hard to socialize, you know, like there's a lot of like, you know, concerns and fears about like meeting new people and stuff like that. But for someone who always have a hard time making friends, making connections with other people, you know, like the pandemic is especially lonely. And also, you know, moving to a new city during pandemic, that all those kind of like things compiled together just made me, you know, more and more feel like I crave for drugs. But for a while, I met up with a guy, and then we were dating for a while, and then that was nice. But then after we stopped dating, I fell back to that, you know, old pattern for a little bit, and I was like, no, this is it. I can't do this anymore. And I felt so bad about my drug use all the time, like each and every time. Like after I finished using it, after I cleared, after I recovered or went through the withdrawal and everything, I just regretted the hell out of it. But I never understood, you know, why I was doing so, and it took me a really long time to actually realize that this pattern of using drugs is heavily correlated to loneliness and being alone and being by myself and wanting to have some sort of a connection with other people. That loneliness creates this desire of like drug use directly, because one, this particular need in my head could be satisfied by this chemical, and you know, the people that provide the chemical and all those kind of like, you know, surroundings of that, and that would solve my problem of loneliness and the craving for like for human connection. And then also the drug maximizes my sexual drive so that I could go on for a very long time, and further complements my desire to make human connections. And as ridiculous as it sounds, it was not even like a thought or a calculation in my head. Those kind of like matching the, you know, loneliness and with the connection between loneliness to drug use was so automatic that like there's no need to think. Like whenever I feel lonely and that desire naturally arises, and it's just like, oh, this is the fix. This is what I want to do. And so I always end up doing the things that is supposed to satisfy the desire, but I never really understood what the original desire was. So this kind of like behavior lasted for so long that it was so automatic, until recently when I really started to look into my experiences and my life. I realized that the common theme was lack of human connection. And this lack of human connection drives the need to use drugs. And this particular kind of imbalance in my mentality, in my logics, in my mind, in my emotions are so ingrained that it's so easy to miss. You know, like everything is taken for granted, everything is all hardwired, and it's so hard for me to actually like look back and realize this was the case. So now on my road to recovery, you know, I try to build a try to build better bonds and stronger bonds with the people that I associate with. I start to feel like I have more of a social circle now. And you know, like when I'm like working at home or doing something, there will be people calling me and say, hey Alex, what are you doing, do you want to hang out? And that kind of like feeling and that kind of like inclusion I've never had in my life, at least for a very long time, you know, like from someone who's not my family members. And this was just like very new to me, and very refreshing, and also very wonderful, because I'm finally able to satisfy my need with the kind of action that really relates to that particular need. There's no longer a mismatch of like problem and solution. So that was basically the main relationships that I had with methamphetamine. Let me see if I have anything missed out. Yes. So because this drug, the withdrawal and then the coming down part is so rocky, it's so damaging. It made me even feel like worse after every time I used it. It's like one of those things, like you are so craving for it that you cannot say no, but then after it wears off, it's like fuck, why am I doing this to my body? Like like why do I abuse this nasty shit? Like what's going on with me, and how can I stop myself? It's just like I constantly have those questions, and they can never be answered. And it was very struggling, it was very challenging, and it was very shameful at the same time, because I know this is bad, but like I just can't stop doing it. And when I'm stuck in that cycle and unable to get out, it's the worst part of all of this. And people always say that, you know, like you just need to stop, but it's actually not that simple, because the drug actually was helping me in a way, at least in the way that I wanted to. And just to simply stop that is not something that could be achieved easily. And people who have no drug abuse experience do not understand this, but it is really challenging for people to stop using drugs after a while, because the pattern and the automatic connection, it's so vivid that, you know, like you there's no need to think. It's just everything is automatic. It just I guess that's the only way I can explain it. But since I realized that I was using this drug to alleviate my my loneliness, and just to create connection with other people. um, I know that I could try to find ways to fix this. I could try to replace the drug with something else, something that's more healthier and something that's more long lasting, something that's more meaningful and rewarding over time than a just temporary like band-aid fix. So in doing so, I see a lot of improvements in myself and in my emotional stability and everything, that I no longer really feel shame about my drug use experience, because I know that I needed it. Like, people may look at this particular drug as something so bad and so horrendous and so terrible for your body, because it's, all synthetic chemicals, and it's horrible toxin. There's no doubt about that. And then just to keep putting that into your body is something very self-sabotaging, and it's very shameful. But there's also another side of this story, which is the fact that a lot of people, including me, needed it at the time, and it was what really kept us going. It was something that we needed in order to cope with something that we don't know how to fix. And so I stopped feeling shameful about it, because I know that there was a need that I could fulfill otherwise. And I know that I'm not, like a persistent drug abuser, but like I just do this occasionally, but I still got hurt like more than most of the other people. Nonetheless, what I wanted to tell people, whoever's watching this, is that addiction, drug use of any kind, it's not just as simple as people say. Oh, you just need to stop. You just need to scare people or like shame people into stop using. It's not how it works. You need to find that key, the missing key, the missing part. For me, mine was human connection, but for someone else, it could be a gazillion of many other things. But they also need to find their keys in order to solve this problem permanently. So instead of looking, this situation, the drug abuse or like drug addiction, as a disease, as a pandemic, or as a endemic, or whatever, you could also look at it as a behavior, and something that you could try to feel comfortable with, and also try not to feel shameful for, and try to understand what's really missing. What is this drug trying to replace? Or what are you trying to avoid in feeling while using this drug? Once those questions can be answered, then solution is in your face. So this is my relationship with methamphetamine. This is the first episode I'm talking about drug use, and I may have like several more coming up, and hopefully that will be uploaded soon. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.